Today we're here to talk about ash. Ash actually has a cool history. It is used for baseball bats predominantly, and one reason for that is that it actually has a great bending strength and flexibility to it without being brittle or snapping the way harder, more dense woods might. Native Americans actually stripped pieces of ash to weave their baskets with. So it's been widely used for a variety of purposes throughout history. One of the things that makes woods like ash, birch, brown maple a little bit different than hickory, they're all known for having heart-sap contrast. But unlike hickory, ash we do not grade it or saw it to have some minimum percentage of heartwood. So you can get boards that may be more predominantly sap, or you can get boards that are more predominantly heart. And then you can have boards where the sapwood really comes in at very sporadic points and then disappears at the other end of the board. And then this is a great example of how much the heart content can vary in a ash board. Another defining characteristic of ash is that when you see the ash tree in the forest, you rarely see branches very close to the ground. The tree grows very fast, straight up, to try to get to the canopy of the forest and get its branches out into the sunlight. And it really does not have very many, if any, branches close to the ground. It's a very spindly looking tree in the forest. And what that means is that we don't have the character at the larger portion of the timber to be able to create a grade any other than heirloom. So the heirloom grade you see here really doesn't have a lot of character other than the variation. You really aren't going to get knots. And we can't make a signature grade because most of the branches are very high up where the timber is a lot smaller. You can think about the ash tree the way you might think about a house plant that you set on a table near your window, and some of those house plants that just kind of run for the light very, very quickly, and they grow kind of stringy because they're chasing the sunshine. That's essentially what an ash tree does, and it twists and turns as it goes up, trying to chase the openings in the forest for where that sunlight is. So a thing that differentiates it from the oaks is really it's more of a three-dimensional kind of twisting, turning grain, and you can get some really kind of different angles of the grain working across the board. You can see here, it's more of a three-dimensional effect. So although it's an open grain wood like white oak or red oak or hickory, it tends to look different, and the grain seems to be, to me, a little bit more radical than the more straight grain woods like a red or a white oak. So when you're looking at options for finishing ash, we have laid out a couple of different colors here. Obviously we have a clear coat here that's not really going to change the color of the original timber. Here we have just an amber satin, so you're getting a little bit more of that goldeny, oiled look into the floor. And then here we have some other colors here that show you, like oak, you're going to get some of this more sharp contrast in the open grain versus the closed grain as far as how it's going to take the pigment. This darker color here is obviously the open grain where it's absorbing more of the pigment and creating that darker color. When you see a really straight grain piece like this, it's very hard to tell ash from white oak. A color like this is going to cover up the sap heart contrast, and it looks very similar to white oak. I would say the only way you can tell the difference is when you see the longer boards and you can see in the ash a little bit more of that radical grain swirl and twist and turn due to the way the tree grew. It is, compared to oak, it's extremely hard. It's in the ballpark of a red oak as far as hardness goes. I would say it's one of those floors that when people discover it, I think they really like it, but it's never been a super popular floor for us. It does finish really, really well. I think some of the challenges on the supply side right now, you're seeing fewer and fewer people offer ash floors, so probably the consumer isn't seeing them as frequently as they might have, 5 or 6 years ago.